jokes. I will tell you this, I'm missing the Cosby Show for you guys. Those of you know what that is. It's funny. All right, so let me get started. So I wanted to take some time today, and he's going to have a lot of fun trying to follow me around, because I don't stay behind coding. One of my things. I tell people, I warn you ahead of time, I'm half Latin and I'm half Italian. So I'm either moving my hips or I'm moving my hands. So let me get started real quickly. I wanted to take some time to talk to you about what we're doing currently and what we're going to be doing moving forward with Notice of Termination. Okay, but before I do that, I wanted to kind of get a little background. So this factoid here I got from a recent workshop that was done in State College, but they said that only 5% of projects are currently achieving final permit closeout. So by show of hands, how many people say that's a good number, 5%? So some of you might think that's good. So there's room for improvement, right? So that's why I'm here. I want to talk to you about that. So key thing here is that NOTs are not a new requirement. They've been around since 1992 when we started doing the MPDS permit process in Pennsylvania. So I don't know, do the math. How many years is that? It's been around for a little while. We updated the regs in 2010, and Mark talked a little bit about the differences between the two forms, the NOT forms, and that's depending if your project was approved before or after November of 2010. So when we did that, we updated the regs, it bolstered the NOT process two ways. One, now it includes post-construction stormwater management. So when we go out there, we submit a notice of termination, we're looking to see that all those BMPs are in place, okay? And that they're functioning. And it also kept the permittee on the hook. So there used to be this little loophole that when the permit expired, then it kind of let the permittee off the hook. And we know that wasn't something that was working out very well, so it keeps the permittee on the hook, even more incentive to make sure these notice of terminations are submitted. So one of the things that's apparent to us is that for some people, it's apparent that the NOT process remains unclear. And there might be a couple reasons for that. So DEP, conservation districts, we're taking steps to help improve that, try to close that gap. Okay, so as far as NOT assistance goes, presently and in the recent past, I just want to kind of cover what's currently been done. So, and I have some of my district staff here that I could kind of ask them questions. But we continue to spend a lot of time answering questions, whether they're permittees or whether they're consultants on NOTs. And we spend a great deal of time doing that, and we don't mind. We'd rather you call and ask us before you submit it. It does actually save time in the long run. Okay? We cover NOTs in pre-construction meetings. Right? So during the pre-construction meeting, we're going to go through, all right, you got a permit. There are a variety of things you need to do now that you have a permit. One of them is that at the very end, you have to deal with this notice of termination process. And there's always been information on our website, so that deals kind of with the present. Well, that's more the recent past. I mentioned this Pennsylvania Land Development Conference, which was in State College on March 3rd. Was anybody there? Was in the audience? One person? Now, I don't think they archived that. I think that would have been great. Does anybody know if that was archived? Who was there? But supposedly there was a nice, real long session on notice of termination. I'm not going to repeat any of that. So if you weren't there, raise your hand back there. You can ask all kinds of questions to Cynthia. She's in the back. But that focused a lot on notice of terminations because there was a recognition that there were questions and there needed to be some more clarification. Okay. DEP has had 2 webinars in the past, in September of 2014 and August of 2013. Okay, and those were offered live, but they're also archived. And so This presentation will be available, I don't know if it's going to be in PowerPoint format or PDF format, but that hyperlink should work. You can click on it, or you can do like I did this morning, and I just Googled DEP webinars, and then it took me right there. So that's available to you, okay? So let's talk about what we're doing moving forward. So we're going to do it in 3 kind of steps. So you know, so it's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to focus more heavily on outreach, which starts with today. So we're having this engineer's workshop. We take advantage whenever we have a workshop to share information with you, things that we think is important. And I was reminded just before coming up here that we had a workshop, I think it was 2 years ago here. Was it 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. And we spent a good amount of information on, guess what? Anyone want to take a guess? Notice of termination? Yeah, all right. That's what we did. So that's Jen Orr. For those of you who don't know, Jen Orr is now in a new position, so she's no longer with our bureau. But she did spend a great deal of information on notice of terminations. So that was today. That is today. Later this week, we have a workshop with developers, right? And that's being hosted by the Montgomery County Conservation District. And what do you think that's going to focus on? Anyone want to guess? Okay, you guys all guessed right. Notice of terminations, okay? Or just in general, there's going to be a variety of things we probably going to talk about. That's going to talk about, I think, the filing instrument, post-construction filing instrument. I always get that mixed up with the words, but that all is intertwined with the NOT process. And then we have a meeting with the home builders next week. Anyone want to guess what that's going to focus on? Well, it's going to partly focus on the whole NOT process. So we do know there's a variety of different folks who we are boosting outreach. Okay. The regional office is also working on what I call an informative letter that's going to go out to elected officials and the public, which are going to, again, focus on improving the communications, the education on our notice of termination process. So there'll be more information. You're going to hear it. You probably get tired of hearing about it. But hopefully that's a good thing, because then everyone will be submitting all their NOTs on time, sites will be stabilized, and all the BMPs will be in, right? You guys have to sign something, by the way, on your way out. But that's just But that is the goal. So part 2 of that is, all right, we're going to update our NOI, the application, and other forms to just highlight both what's required permitting and post-permitting, so there's a better understanding. And by show of hands, and I want everyone to be honest, okay? How many people go and they read every page of the permit after it's issued? Cover to cover, raise it on top. There's only about 4 of you who just raise your hand. I guess that's the reality, all right? And a lot of the information, especially about notice of terminations, guess where it's at? It's in that language. So what we're actually doing is that informative letter, we're pulling information that is in the permit and kind of just putting it in the forefront. Okay? You just kind of put it right there so that it's more visible. Okay? Last stage is that we're going to be boosting enforcement and compliance. So we're going to be out there more often. So let your clients know. And we're going to work with you, okay, to try to get these sites stabilized, to make sure that the BMPs are in place. Basically just doing what it says in the permit. But if we can't get it into compliance, the next step is enforcement. And that's just a normal process. And that's just a reality. Can't really say it any other way. Okay? So it's important for you to know, because in the past, that 5% number, the reason why it's so low is because enforcement and compliance, we've just been overstretched doing other things. We just feel that this is something that demands some attention as well. All right, so if you're sitting there, you're probably thinking to yourself, what can I do to help? Right? That's what I would be doing if I was sitting there, right? So I have some things. I just wanted to share with you. So, here's the first thing. And this is me over the weekend writing stuff down. So I didn't have anybody filter it for me. So hopefully you all received it with open heart. Okay? All right. So first thing, continue to urge your clients to hire licensed professionals to deal with post-construction, BMPs both during and after construction. And I know that's a challenge for a lot of folks because you can't tell your clients what to do. You can say, hey, I was at this workshop. Domenic Rocco said, you better hire a licensed professional. Now, I know that's improved over the last couple of years, but we can certainly see more improvement, okay? So we need them for oversight of critical stages and to really adequately complete the NOT process, okay? Because if you're not there, that poses some problems, right? And I think some of you have probably been in that situation. 2, educate your clients on those post-issuance requirements. At least I could say for the permits that we issue out of our office, we went and we specifically numbered what those requirements are. So that way when you get a permit, it's on that cover sheet. It says, all right, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things I got to do. One of them is the NOT. There are other things as well. And so when you're sitting with your clients or they get the permit and they're really happy, they can start getting work started, it's important to let them know, you know what, there's other things that need to happen. Let me walk you through it. This is the one you might get mad at me about. So we really need, I call it the peer pressure effect, right? Let's hold each other accountable because one of the problems that we see is NOTs are getting submitted prematurely or they don't have the right information on, okay? And that's wasting a lot of resources both from DEP and from the conservation districts. And so the unfortunate thing is all the folks in this room, you probably do it the right way. And there's a lot of empty seats in here for people who could have been here listening to everything that we're offering. And so we can't reach them all. So we would hope that you interact with a variety of people outside of I guess, this venue. So maybe you can reach out to them. There's different types of trade groups or whatever it is, and just say, hey, you know what, as an industry, let's make sure we're all kind of doing things the same way and the right way. This is me on my soapbox again. But sorry, but I gotta get it out. If you're not sure about something, we ask, just read the permit and the instructions first before you call us. And then if you're still not sure, then call us. Because a lot of times we're just going to open up the permit, look at it, and read it to you. And you can skip that step, just doing it yourself. Okay? Save yourself some time. There's more. Sorry. Mark talked about this, about permits expiring. If there's still work to do, it really puts your clients in a bad position. And so I was doing a workshop a year and a half ago for home builders, and someone in the back started screaming at me about them not being able to renew an extended permit, an expired permit. I have nothing to do with that. If it expires, it's gone. And I didn't have to say anything. This is where the whole peer pressure thing comes. A person stood up in the front and said, well, why didn't you just give yourself a reminder? In 4.5 years, we got these things called smartphones, right? And you just say, hey, 4.5 years, make sure you submit your what's called, time extension? Renewal. Okay, renewal. Okay. That greatly helps the process because if you're relying on the department or the conservation district to do that, then you're really not helping your client. Don't change the boilerplate on any official DEP forms. Okay, and we've run into this situation a couple times already. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, and so if there are missing elements, right, specifically with regards to post-construction stormwater, that prevent you being your client, from filing an NOT, So you go out there, the B&P, well, actually I have examples. The B&P is not working right? Or it has missing pieces. The B&Ps are not the right size or the right location. Or there wasn't a licensed professional or designee to oversee the work during critical stages, and that's really becoming an issue. Because as the licensed professional, what do they need to do as part of the NOT process? I'm going to start calling on people. Joe Musil, what do they need to do as part of the NOT process? He wasn't paying attention.
No, I wasn't. Well,
what do you have to do? You have to sign this thing at the end, the NOT. Certification, right? Exactly. So that certification makes it really difficult if you don't know if it was installed properly. So just make sure that that's happening. And if it's not happening, then what happens is if you have issues with your BMPs, they're not functioning properly, then it's really a deviation from what's in your permit. And what you really need to start thinking about is, do I need to do a corrective action plan? Okay? Because really the NOT, you don't fit that mold. And then there's a lot of gray areas in between. And that's why it's important to come and talk to us. But that's the reality. If you're really deviating from what was originally permitted significantly, then we're not really talking about what we gave you a permit for. We're talking about something else. And we can always talk about that, right? This is where you get to ask me questions.